I used to think silence meant peace. But in that therapist's office when Sarah went quiet, it felt like the air itself was holding its breath, waiting for something sharp to tear through it. Dr. Reynolds had just asked her, "Sarah, what are you hoping to get out of these sessions?" I turned to her, hoping she'd say something, anything, that meant there was still a sliver of us left to save. Her eyes stayed fixed on the carpet. Then she exhaled slowly and said, clear as daylight, "I'm only here because I want the house in the divorce." It felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. For a moment I thought I'd misheard her. I wanted to, but her tone, cold matter of fact, left no room for misunderstanding. The therapist froze. Even the ticking clock on the wall seemed to pause. I sat there staring at her, my throat tightening. "You're joking, right?" I finally managed, my voice barely above a whisper. Sarah didn't even look at me. "No, Mark," she said. "I'm not." And just like that, the woman I'd spent 12 years building a life with, 12 years of laughter, struggles, late-night talks, and shared dreams, became a stranger sitting across from me in a beige office chair. The first time I met Sarah, she was a whirlwind. Confident, witty, impossible to ignore. We met at a friend's wedding, and she made fun of my tie before stealing a dance. Back then, she had this spark that made you feel like the world got brighter just because she was in it. We built a life together from scratch. Bought a small house with a leaky roof, fixed it up weekend by weekend. We didn't have much, but it was ours. But somewhere along the way, between the late work nights, the endless bills, and the quiet arguments that never really got resolved, we started drifting. I noticed her smiles came less often. Her phone was always face down. When I asked what was wrong, she'd shrug and say, "I'm just tired." I thought therapy might help. Turns out it just exposed how far gone we already were. After that session, the drive home was unbearable. The silence between us was thick, suffocating. She stared out the window the whole way, and I gripped the steering wheel like it could hold my world together. When we pulled into the driveway, she unbuckled her seatbelt without a word. "Sarah," I said, my voice trembling, "was that really necessary? To say that, in there?" She sighed, still not looking at me. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to be honest." "Honest?" I laughed bitterly. "You didn't even try to save this marriage. You're sitting here plotting how to take the house while pretending to fix things." Her jaw tightened. "You think you're the only one who's hurt? You shut down months ago, Mark. You live in your head. You stopped seeing me." That stung because it wasn't entirely untrue. But there was a difference between emotional distance and betrayal, and I was about to find out just how deep hers went. That night, she slept in the guest room. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. The look on her face in therapy, the coldness in her tone. I wanted to believe it was just anger talking, that maybe she didn't mean it. But the next morning when I came downstairs, her laptop was open on the kitchen counter. I didn't mean to pry. God knows I hate snooping. But when I saw my name in an email subject line, my stomach turned. It was an email thread with her sister. "If I play this right, I'll get the house and maybe even alimony. He's too soft to fight me on it. Just don't let him find out about Alex before it's all finalized." I felt my hands go numb. Alex. A name I'd never heard before. I scrolled further, my pulse pounding in my ears. "Alex says he's tired of hiding. I told him it won't be much longer. Once the divorce is over, I'll finally be free." I staggered back, gripping the edge of the counter to steady myself. The words blurred as tears burned behind my eyes. She wasn't just planning to leave me. She was leaving me for someone else. And she was willing to sit through therapy, not to fix our marriage but to manipulate the process to look cooperative to get what she wanted. I don't remember how long I stood there. The only thing I remember clearly is the sound of her footsteps on the stairs. "Mark," she said, her voice soft but cautious. "You're up early." I turned to her slowly, the laptop still open behind me. "Who's Alex?" Her face drained of color instantly. "What?" "Don't," I said sharply. "Don't pretend you don't know." She glanced at the counter, saw the screen, and her shoulders sagged. "Mark, please." "How long?" My voice cracked. "How long have you been lying to me?" She swallowed hard, tears welling up. "It started after your dad passed away. You were distant and I felt alone. I didn't plan it, it just happened." I laughed. An ugly hollow sound. "It just happened." That's what people say when they want to make betrayal sound like an accident. Mark, I'm sorry. No, I said, shaking my head. You're sorry you got caught. The days after that were a blur of numbness. I went through the motions, work, eating, pretending to sleep, but inside everything was shattered. She stayed in the house, claiming she had nowhere else to go. I couldn't look at her without seeing that email. She'd move through the kitchen quietly, offering polite phrases like, "Do you need anything?" Or, "I'll be out late tonight." Every word felt like an insult. One evening I found myself sitting in the living room, staring at the framed photo of us on our honeymoon. Her head was on my shoulder, both of us grinning, sunburned, happy. I took the frame and turned it face down. 2 weeks later, she asked if I wanted to go back to therapy for closure. I almost refused, but part of me wanted answers, something more than silence and half-hearted apologies. Dr. Reynolds welcomed us back, his tone careful. "So," he began, "last time was difficult. Do either of you want to start?" I looked at Sarah. "Go ahead," I said. She hesitated, then spoke softly. "I know I hurt you. I know what I did is unforgivable. But I don't want this to end with hate." I stared at her, trying to find sincerity in her eyes. "You destroyed our home, Sarah. You used therapy as a strategy to win property, not to fix our marriage. How am I supposed to not hate you for that?" She wiped her tears, whispering, "Because once you loved me enough to build all of this with me." That line, it broke me and infuriated me at the same time. "Yes," I said. "I did. And maybe that's why this hurts so damn much. Because I never stopped loving the woman I thought you were." The therapist watched silently, eyes heavy with empathy. After the session, I stood in the parking lot, breathing the cold evening air, trying to remember what peace even felt like. Sarah came out moments later. "Mark," she said, "I'll move out next week. You can keep the house." I turned to her, stunned. "What changed?" She gave a sad smile. "Alex doesn't want to be with me anymore. Turns out he didn't sign up for all this drama." Her voice cracked on the last word. I didn't gloat. I didn't even feel vindicated. Just tired. "Take care of yourself, Sarah," I said quietly, walking away before she could see me break again. The night she finally moved out, I found her wedding ring on the kitchen counter. Next to it was a note. "I'm sorry for everything. You deserved better. I hope one day you find peace." I sat down at the table, the silence deafening. For the first time in weeks, I let myself cry, not for her, but for the years, the memories, the man I used to be when I still believed love was unbreakable. Months passed. The house felt both emptier and freer. I repainted the living room, sold the furniture we'd picked out together, replaced the curtains she loved. Each change felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. One afternoon, I went through the attic, sorting through boxes we'd never unpacked. At the bottom of one was a photo album from our early years, smiling faces, new house keys, a stray dog we once took in. For a moment I just stared. Then I closed it gently and placed it in a box labeled past. Healing wasn't clean. Some mornings I still woke up expecting to hear her humming in the kitchen. Some nights I still caught myself reaching for her side of the bed. But the difference was I no longer felt hollow. I was learning that forgiveness isn't about letting someone back in. It's about letting yourself move on. A year later, I drove past her old office and saw her getting into a car. She looked different, older, worn down, like someone still carrying the weight of choices that couldn't be undone. She saw me too. For a brief second, our eyes met. No anger, no bitterness. Just quiet understanding that some endings are final. I nodded once, then drove away. People say betrayal destroys you. They're wrong. It remakes you, painfully, brutally. But it also forces you to rebuild stronger, more aware of what you deserve and what you'll never settle for again. Sarah took my trust. But she didn't take my hope. And as I stood in the doorway of the house I once thought I'd lose, sunlight streaming through the windows, I finally felt something close to peace. Because for the first time in years the silence felt like freedom.